welcome to Day 2 of Data Cloud Global Congress 2026. Before we get started, I want to say another thanks to our patron sponsors, Huawei, Schneider Electric, Siemens Energy, and Vertiv, and of course, all of our platinum, diamond, gold, and silver sponsors. And thank you to all of you for being here. I hope everyone enjoyed the various drinks receptions and activities happening last night, and that there aren't too many sore heads in the room this morning. Because we're going to be kicking off with a super exciting keynote interview. So please join me in welcoming our moderator for this session, Susanna Cass, to the stage.
Well, I guess I have another acknowledgement, Carlo, if you don't mind, is may I ask all the young talent for the data cloud, for infrastructure, take a stand. So this is a program that Data Cloud has masterminded for a long time. And Carlo actually is going to go expand more on it because he's clearly one of the igniter in having talent in our industry, especially in the AI era. So please join me and give them a round of applause. For these babies, they're all babies to me, that genuinely have anything less than, perhaps I would say, Frederick, not to iron you out, but 2 days of experience to 18 months. So it is wonderful to have you all here. Thank you. Well, I guess I'm going to introduce someone very special today. Let me maybe describe him. When I met him, I was completely blown away by his authenticity. He is a real individual who really cares about how people are using technology. In addition, being a visionary, of course, and he's very ambitious in terms of inverting status quo. He can visualize opportunity others actually don't see. And oftentimes, others may see it, but see it as a limitation. His authenticity is, frankly, using his own self-inference, generating his own intelligence before we actually are still figuring out how machine can actually do inference. His success is, I don't think I even have the time today to go through it, so please check his LinkedIn profile. And that is actually being very humble. The part that I really like about him, and I personally admire him having in the industry for 30 years in digital infrastructure, is the fact that I learn every time I talk to this individual. He transformed not so much just the technology or what his company does, who obviously has some amazing visionary to execution ability. But he himself running as the vice president for EMEA, for enterprise solutions and services, is actually where the inflection point happened in EMEA. Not from the US, it's actually in EMEA. You all have the opportunity to follow this individual, be it he ride his surfboard or he just kind of do his run. I would say pay attention to every word that he's going to say, including the critical thinking behind it. Because what he's actually sharing with you is this sea change of massive blue ocean. You think you are late to the game, it is not. You are really at the beginning, just like Frederick, again, he's my favorite. He's my 2-day-old baby in the digital infrastructure. He brings nothing but curiosity and the willing to contribute and learn from everyone. I really would like you to take a breath. For some of you like to meditate, close your eyes for a second and genuinely pay attention to the next keynote session. So please join me in welcome Carlo Rulis from NVIDIA.
Good morning, Susanna, and what a wonderful introduction, right? And
Well,
thank you for bringing all of us here together, right?
Well, you probably know my reputation. I don't usually say what I don't mean.
Oh, wow.
You clearly deserve it, Carlo, and there's a lot more. So it's a pleasure, genuinely, to actually have you. You're very busy, and so we're really, really glad that yourself is here. Not just yourself, but you actually brought a wonderful team. And we have a lady joining me tomorrow at the closing keynote, and she's at the front stage. So, Carlo, let's dive into it, given the sake of time. We're going to talk about something very unique. Okay, so I'm going to take an audience profile because you are a Chief Transformation Officer. So I know what those Chief Information Officer like, Transaction Officer like. Basically, is they like baseline. So give me a raise of a hand for some of you had heard of NVIDIA or own their stocks. All right, Carlo, let's take a look at that. Okay, get it higher because the light kind of blinds us. All right, so keep your hands up. How many of you either heard of NVIDIA or own their stocks? And congratulations to us all. Have heard of Carlo? Don't be shy, he can take it. All right, Carlo. It's a guy I've heard of you. Okay, great. Well, you have some areas to pick up. So perhaps you can help us understand what do you really do as a Vice President for Enterprise Solutions. I understand everybody talk about machine learning and inference and all that stuff, but taking models into real production and enterprise, what's your day look like?
Hey, and this show of hands is quite different from when I started. I started 12 years ago, and then if we would have put that question forward, who knows NVIDIA, would have been only a few. Not much has changed through our go-to-market and as we partner with the full ecosystem. However, the traction and the demand out there, they are phenomenal, right? So one of the key tasks that we have as a team is to work with the complete ecosystem and make sure that we capture the opportunity. And as AI factories are taking off, it is so critical that we prepare the infrastructure to meet the tremendous demand. And I can tell you one thing, all together we are too slow, right? We need to move faster, we need to think bigger, and that's the mission that we have here with the team. Which leads me to your question on the enterprise side of things. Where is enterprise going? And I think if I would have talked about this like a month ago, I would have said, wow, we see great things, because the enterprise in the beginning was a bit slow. So we would see pilots, we would see POCs, we would see centers of excellence where the first steps, the first bigger projects are emerging. But something changed last year. When you think of enterprise software, we saw the adoption of large-scale AI, accelerated computing inside of the enterprise apps. So think of the Salesforces, think of the ServiceNow, and so on. So that was already a way where we saw the enterprise accelerating. However, if we see where agentic AI is going right now, the speed of adoption of agentic, and whether it's going to be agentic in those enterprise suites, whether it's agentic on the Anthropic or OpenAI side, whether it's agentic that an enterprise will innovate and include into their own setup, whether it's agentic that's just being consumed through one of the suites, it is taking off like nothing I've seen before. So if you think things were going fast, last few weeks, I just see it accelerating and we need to go to the next gear. So now, this whole positioning of building AI factories where we produce intelligence, we need to do it faster, we need to do it smarter, becomes really critical because we're too slow, Susanna. And so this is where we and the team came up now with this whole concept of DSX. This is the most important thing that we're talking about here. But DSX is a reference architecture for the data center, for infrastructure, just to go faster, to go more reliable, but also to squeeze out more performance out of the infrastructure. So talk to one of our guys on DSX and we'll tell you how to squeeze out 30, 40% more performance out of the same footprint. And this is critical, we need this.
Wow, a lot of metrics. Let's unpack this for a second. So First of all, thank you for the audience being here and for you taking the time this morning to join us, and Carlo. So many of the folks in the digital infrastructure, and take it the most positive way, in a conversation I have with many of the folks in the industry, don't get it right. They actually don't really kind of understand AI, but it's just one of those that we're already into the third meeting and you're too embarrassed to ask me what my name is. So we're all in this together, and our strongest moment is where we actually make the connection, which is why I genuinely want to thank Lottie, Annabelle, the entire team that bring together this fantastic platform, this beautiful place for us to genuinely make the connection. So it's okay for some of you, especially the C-level, and say, well, what is it really, the AI? So I think we should just get comfortable with each other, and then we connect, and then we move on. And then next year when you come back, you don't genuinely have an excuse you didn't hear about agentic AI from Carlo. So Carlo, so let's take it back, and I'll pretend I'm one of those that no, I don't need to pretend, I can just act myself. I know nothing about AI. Okay, so, which is already ahead for the people that get it wrong. You get it? Okay, so if you know nothing, it's actually then you get it wrong and you don't admit that you don't know anything. All right, so join me in that moment. So assuming we don't know anything, how about we demystify the myth of AI and hear from the source of truth? This is actually where you get the source of truth is in Data Cloud and Keynote with Carlo. Tell us about what AI is in very simple terms, but specifically for the digital infrastructure company.
Yeah, let's take this in a couple of steps. I like the way you say demystify, because there's a lot of myths out there on what AI is and what AI is not. And also, you all raise your hands when you say, we know NVIDIA. But how many descriptions do you see out there where they say it's a chip company? And AI, let's demystify that part immediately. AI is not about a chip. AI is about many things, and a single chip is not tackling the large AI challenge that you see out there. We heard many years AI is about bigger models, only about bigger models. It's not just that. That will continue for sure. But the big adoption that you see out there right now is also about fine-tuning models. The other myth that we heard about is that inferencing is easy. Inferencing is simple. Doesn't put a lot of requirement on the infrastructure. You remember that? Just 2-3 years ago, people would say that. The opposite is now happening with inferencing that is about reasoning. It's about long time thinking to come to an answer about agentic. Inferencing might be the most complex thing that we need to tackle, for which we need massive amounts of infrastructure. But not any infrastructure, the right infrastructure. So these are all myths that people have been telling each other, and it's really about building smart AI factories, not data centers. We need to put the AI factory in place. And that's something different, because the data center is the place where we store data, we have applications running, but the AI factories are the places where we create value. So data goes in, local data, sovereign data, any data. We put energy in, quite important. We need to have energy. And then intelligence comes out in this shape and form of tokens. And it's all about the tokens. It's not about the chips. It's not about the building around it. It's about how many tokens can we produce. Are they smart tokens? Are they valuable tokens? What is the cost per token? How many tokens per watt? So we're moving into this domain of tokenomics. So AI factory is critical, and not just from an infrastructure perspective, but what are we producing? So that's what AI is all about.
Indeed. So for digital infrastructure, if I understand it correctly, Carl, we no longer are just looking at land and power and a whole bunch of white space inside. And oftentimes, a lot of the providers over here may or may not actually even know the content that goes in there. And I guess what you're basically saying, that is not AI factory. We met at GTC 26 in San Jose. That was just a couple of months ago in March. And you're going to have another event in EMEA in October.
Yeah, October, yeah. Berlin, and limited seats. And we're also going to do a special AI factory infrastructure summit there. So if there's something you care about, make sure that you check your agenda as well for October.
Great. So you're basically telling us now that for AI factory is not yet another data center. Well, you know how to break a girl's heart because I'm taking instructions.
You want me closer to the mic? Okay,
Yes,
good.
all right.
Yes, done.
Thank you, Annabelle. We do follow instructions. So basically what I'm saying is the AI factory is now generating per minute 1 megawatt, 1 million token out of Vera Rubin. Okay, you guys got the math? Per 1 minute, each megawatt, we are now measuring it as per 1 million token. We don't speak this language in digital infrastructure, do we? Because we manage a whole bunch of stuff in there that we were just paranoid that we think actually the system is actually just going to go down. Do you see that anymore in the success matrix? No. But what we're basically seeing is you put ingredients in, is what Carla was educating us. Did I follow you right, teacher?
Absolutely, this is the right way to think about it. And so when I say it's not about a chip or just the data centers, we have seen that in the past people were looking at how many chips do we have, how many GPUs do we have. And if you talk to some of about the projects in the region, that's the way they describe them, but that's not the relevant part. The relevant part is how many tokens, what kind of tokens, the revenue per token. And that's where we need to be focused on.
Well, that will probably cause some shift in the business and the marketing and revenue. I guess in order to do that, we'll have to have the lady do the job tomorrow at the keynote to talk about that. And that's basically Isabella, who is going to walk us through some of the shift. How about we go back to something about NVIDIA, these 5-layer cake. What is this all about and why do we care?
Yeah, if you place AI in a wider context, then our founder and CEO Jensen Huang, he made a very nice concept about it. He said AI is basically a 5-layer cake. And we're working across all of these layers. So the first thing that we need to have is the energy. And energy is becoming an interesting challenge. So to power all of this, we need to have access to powered land, the right amount of energy, renewable energy if possible. So energy is critical. Then the second thing, we talked already quite a bit about it, we do need chips. We don't need one, it's not just the GPU, but we found that there are all kinds of weak spots in the ecosystem when we talk about chips. For example, the CPU that's being used to orchestrate, CPUs were never designed for this kind of AI challenging workload. So we took upon the task to develop specialized AI CPUs, which we call Vera. And Vera is the latest generation of CPU that can tackle all of this. And then there's quite some demand for extreme performance networking. So you'll find a number of chips that we developed for that. And lastly, for the extreme tasks, for the deep research, for deep reasoning, think about extreme coding with agents, where you have 1 million tokens for a single job. There we have created something called the LPU through the Grok license that we did. So chips, really important. Next layer. This is where we all need to bring all of this to the market. So we need to have the infrastructure to host this, to deal with the density, to have modular setups to make this happen. The layer above, models. So sure, it's about foundational models, but it's also about fine-tuning existing models for specific use cases. It's about sovereign models. Especially in the EMEA region, we have a lot of countries, we have a lot of industries. So there, it's vital to create the own models, to capture the own value, not to export it somewhere and then to buy it back. No, create your own. And then lastly, it's about the application. So now we need to do something with it. And whether the application is like an agentic setup, or it could be a self-driving car, that's also an application, or this very big wave of opportunity that we see coming along as well, which is about physical AI. So that's the 5-layer cake. And it's, as you clearly hear, it's not just about the technology. We'll bring the technology in place to do all of that. But it's also about creating an ecosystem. We're a pure partnering company, so we need across all of these layers the right partners to collaborate and get this done.
Well, a couple minutes ago, you mentioned that it's really important for us to pay attention to DXX. So can you bring that back into the 5-layer cake and help us understand how that map into a partner ecosystem for these amazing contexts that we actually have? And that's one of the reasons why we're here in Data Cloud, is actually make the real connection in person.
If you look at the history for the last few decades, we've always built these reference architectures. So we focus on developers, we focus on our technology partners, we focus on go-to-market partners. And what we do is we create reference designs. So together with the most important partners in the industry, we say, how can we build this together? We have done this on the software side, we've done this on the AI compute side, and now we notice the next challenge is in the data center infrastructure. So we took the same concept. So who are the key players? Where is the technology going for the next few years? Let's have an open discussion about it. What is the best cooling? How can we tackle the energy? What are we going to do with the battery? How can we take all the technology that we've developed on the AI side and make this even better? So we started to do simulation at scale. So even before you break ground, we already have simulated the whole AI factory, including how we're going to produce the tokens and so on. How can we do this energy efficient? So there's a big team on this that is creating these blueprints. And the benefit of this is that on day one, when you start your project, you already know that it will be super efficient, like nothing we have built before. We already have simulated. It will be very reliable because there's a lot of downtime issues that we can prevent. And by this way, we find that within the footprint of your investment, of the energy that you put in place, we can push out more tokens. So think of having 30–40% more compute with the same footprint. So if there's one takeaway, go talk to our team that is here. If you're building something, make sure you're building based on the DSX reference architecture, because your business case just got better.
I love DXX reference architecture, as you know. So I treat it like actually almost as a character. So NVIDIA is a vertically integrated company, but they position themselves as a horizontally open company. So I don't know, you all out there, do you know what it means? Or should we explain it for you, how you play it? Well, let's explain it for them, how they play it. So the vertical integrated is what Carlo basically talked about, the stack. The horizontally is actually each of the layer he basically talked about is the DXX. So I have to say, how many of you have exhibit booth out there? Great. Okay. Well, I did my homework assignment. Susanna can help herself. I think you have another homework assignment from me and Carlo. Identify yourself where you are at with the uniqueness of all the wonderful things that you do in digital infrastructure. Where do you add value in the DXX stack and the 5-layer cake? Connect directly with the architecture. I don't think you will ever regret I suggest that to you, to do that homework assignment. You don't need anybody else. You just need you, or maybe some of my young talent, who can genuinely give you a lot of wonderful ideas in the research that they have done in their double PhDs in thermal energy, okay? 2 days of experience in digital infrastructure, but they already got 2 PhDs. Anyway, you kind of get my point, why they're so endearing. Please map yourself into the architecture, and I think, is that correct, Carlo? You have your team here to help us to do that.
The team is here, and we're a partnering company. We don't go to market ourselves. We want to do this together with you across each and every layer of the stack. So please come to one of the deep dive sessions, and do check out Isabella on closing tomorrow. I have a question for you, if you don't mind.
Okay.
So, in the intro, you talked about blue ocean. This is not the first time that you're here, that you're organizing these get-togethers with the ecosystem. Would you mind going a little bit deeper into this blue ocean? Because it feels like we're with a lot of partners, we're working on a lot of projects, but I find it fascinating how you describe that.
Oh, thank you, Carlo. You're being really kind. There's a little bit of the Stanford and me using all these, blue ocean and red sea term. So, in truth, my opinion only, a difference between this is my opinion, that one over there is a source of truth, okay? So in my opinion, looking out on the ocean, given the fact that what NVIDIA has actually launched and has successfully demonstrated as a $7 trillion valuation company and the highest growth that we've ever seen in history, the digital infrastructure is kind of like the girlfriend that came along with it and be enriched in the community, but the one that's full of ideas and curiosity that we all need to be connected. So the sea out there is not a Red Sea. Let me give a very specific example. The DXX AI Factory Marketplace, go search it, and then Agentic AI will actually fill that in for you. Type in where you are at, be it the chip level, the power level, the land, mechanical level, and Agentic AI, you'll be amazed, will do the homework for you in less than 2 minutes, probably a potential thesis. I'm not kidding you. Do that homework assignment and let somebody else do the answer for you. Because where your time comes in is the insight. Susanna actually did that for the reference architecture because I'm into commissioning from live, cold freeze to live. And I just met 6 or 7 guys every time I go to the site. Not really, we know each other that well, but we kind of know the architecture really well. We launch it in 48 hours. Pretty impressive, right? Okay, because we all adhere to the reference architecture on the layer that we actually did. Carlo and I actually pretend we know each other. We actually just met in person. Seriously. But we talk the same language of the DXX market infrastructure. So one of the ones that, I don't know, some of you folks out there do cooling, power mechanical, perfect. Well, the new marketplace is Ali and Marcus Stanke, who is Carlo's colleague back in San Jose, although they travel around the world. They love to come see you in Europe because you have such a fine culture here. Effectively is you can self-certify yourself, okay? You self-certify yourself in there, so local company here, one of them based in Hamburg, Stutz, joined the lead list, and they went through the whole certification. One of my young talent, Jonathan, actually lead the work on the portal. He just loved it all in that regard. It's a self-agentic identification.
Absolutely. And by the way, if you want to meet one of the key architects behind DSX, we have Roy Liu. If you can wave, come and meet him after the session.
Tackle him. Okay, well, we can talk here forever, but Lottie is smiling at me. So we're going to have to move on. My next client is ready, AWS. So you're in the past now. I'm on to the future. No, just kidding. Carlo, really glad to have you here. What may be, I mean, you already done the takeaway. It's not the takeaway, but having you here, I'm kind of a little bit greedy. What can sincerely we must listen to you today?
So, what I've learned from you, the future is blue, is getting bluer, there's more. And my main worry is we need to speed up. We don't have enough. We need to go faster. You need to think bigger. And we want to help you with that. DSX is the answer. I just gave you something. I said that we're going to give you 30-40% more compute out of the same footprint. Now hold us to that, right? Make it our problem. Come to us. This is what we want to do together with you.
So please join me. A standing ovation for Carlo, please.
And thank you, Susanna.